Deep in the heart of the Ashanti Confederacy, beneath canopies of ancient mahogany and oil palm, a nation keeps its most sacred secret. The Golden Stool, Sika Dwa Kofi, does not merely represent the Ashanti people. It is them. Born, the elders say, from the heavens themselves, conjured from the sky by the priest Okomfo Anokye. It descended in thunder and settled upon the knees of the great Asantehene Ose Tutu. It has never touched the ground. No foreign hand has ever held it. To possess the stool is to possess the soul of an entire civilization, its ancestors, its unborn children, its living breath. The year is 1900. Across the Atlantic, an empire drunk on conquest is marching toward Kumasi, and it wants everything. It always does. March 1900. Inside the stone walls of Kumasi Fort, the air is thick with humidity and the faint smell of gun oil. Governor Frederick Hodgson sits elevated before the assembled chiefs of the Ashanti Confederacy, men who carry the weight of kingdoms in their bearing, and delivers his demand with the casual cruelty of empire. He wants the Golden Stool, not as a gesture of respect, but as a throne, a seat for a colonial backside upon the living soul of a nation. The chiefs sit motionless, their kente cloths suddenly feeling like borrowed dignity. To refuse is war. To comply is annihilation of everything their ancestors bled to build. Silence fills the hall like smoke. But somewhere beyond these walls, in the royal house of Ejisu, an old woman is listening, and she has heard quite enough. The assembly hall of Ejisu holds its breath. Torchlight trembles across carved stools and the faces of men who have known war, men who now study the ground at their feet. One elder speaks of patience. Another invokes caution. The words drift upward with the smoke and dissolve into nothing. Outside, the forest presses close, ancient and indifferent. Inside, the silence between each council grows heavier, a physical weight settling on every shoulder. Yaa Asantewaa sits among the women, still as carved ebony, her hands folded in her lap. But her eyes move. They catalogued every bowed head, every swallowed word, every moment a warrior chooses comfort over blood. Grief crosses her face. And then something harder, something forged rather than felt. The silence has made its choice. Now she will make hers. The firelight throws long shadows across the faces of broken men. Chiefs who once commanded thousands sit in silence, their eyes cast downward, their dignity surrendered without a single shot fired. Then, movement. An old woman rises. Yaa Asantewaa, Queen Mother of Ejisu, grandmother, custodian of ancestral memory, stands before them all with the stillness of someone who has already decided. Her words cut through the smoke-thick air like a blade through green wood. She reaches for a musket, cold iron, heavy with meaning, and raises it above her head. The assembled chiefs feel something ancient and furious wake inside the room. Shame burns hotter than any torch. One by one, spines straighten, eyes lift. The silence that follows her challenge is not the silence of defeat, it is the silence before thunder. Before the mist lifts from the forest floor, the drums begin. Low at first, a single voice, then answered, village by village, ridge by ridge, until the whole of Ashanti trembles with their thunder. In the encampments, warriors press red clay and charcoal into their skin, ancient patterns that speak of duty older than memory. Women work by firelight, fingers flying over ammunition pouches, whetting blades against stone with steady, deliberate strokes. The air carries wood smoke, iron, and purpose. And through it all, Yaa Asantewaa walks, unhurried, hawk-eyed, stopping to touch a young warrior's shoulder here, to inspect a musket's barrel there. She is not merely present. She is the axis around which everything turns. A nation that had been brought to its knees is rising again, and the British garrison at Kumasi does not yet understand what is coming for them. April 1900. The forest closes like a fist around Kumasi. Thousands of Ashanti warriors, disciplined and deadly, ring the British fort in an iron cordon of muskets, war horns, and righteous fury. Inside the crumbling garrison walls, Governor Hodgson and his troops count their dwindling rations, listening to the drums that never stop. A heartbeat of defiance pulsing through the humid air. Yaa Asantewaa directs her commanders with calculated precision, cutting supply lines, pressing the perimeter, denying the British every comfort and every escape. Smoke rises from skirmishes in the elephant grass. The smell of black powder mingles with rain-soaked earth. Weeks pass. The Union Jack above the fort grows tattered in the equatorial heat. The British garrison, humiliated and desperate, begins planning a breakout. And Yaa Asantewaa is ready for them. The forest, once Ashanti's greatest ally, begins to betray her. Maxim guns tear through the undergrowth where warriors crouched in disciplined silence only weeks before. The acrid stench of cordite poisons the sweet rot of the rainforest floor. One by one, the allied chiefs melt away. Pragmatic surrenders dressed as survival. Each defection a wound more grievous than any British bullet. Yaa Asantewaa moves among her shattered fighters, her cloth bloodied, her spine unbowed, pressing her will into men who have forgotten why they stood. The siege lines crumble at the edges like wet earth in a flooding river. Yet she does not run. She does not kneel. Around her, the Ashanti resistance contracts, smaller, harder, more desperate, coiling itself into something the British cannot yet anticipate. The rains have come and gone. The forest, once alive with the thunder of her resistance, has fallen silent. In the gray light of a November morning, British soldiers move through the wet undergrowth of Ejisu, their boots heavy with red laterite mud. They find her without spectacle, without flight. Yaa Asantewaa stands composed, her cloth draped with the unhurried dignity of a woman who has already decided what history will remember. The officers who take her into custody cannot meet her eyes. There is no weeping, no supplication, only the unbearable weight of her silence, more eloquent than any battlefield cry. They place her in chains that seem, somehow, inadequate for the task. She is 70 years old. She is undefeated, and in Kumasi, the Golden Stool has not been surrendered. The sea takes her now. Yaa Asantewaa stands at the stern of a British colonial vessel, her wrists no longer bound but her freedom gone all the same. Behind her, the green coastline of the Gold Coast dissolves into salt haze, the great forest, the red earth, the drumbeats she will never again hear at dawn. She is 70 years old. The wind pulls at her cloth. She does not weep. The Indian Ocean stretches before her like a sentence without end, carrying her toward the volcanic islands of the Seychelles, 4,000 miles from Kumasi, from the Golden Stool, from everything she bled for. She watches until there is nothing left to watch. But empires, it turns out, are poor judges of what they can and cannot bury. The British never find it. Through months of siege and smoke, through forest ambush and cannon fire, the Golden Stool remains hidden, cradled in secret by a people who understand that some things cannot be conquered. Yaa Asantewaa is captured in 1901, exiled to the Seychelles, where she dies far from the red earth of Ejisu. Yet something endures beyond any exile's reach. The Ashanti Confederacy survives. Its spirit, like the stool itself, never touches the ground. Decades turn. The world reshapes itself. And in 1957, beneath a sky electric with possibility, a new nation raises its flag for the first time and calls itself Ghana. The grandmother who shamed warriors into battle becomes the face of a freedom that is still being written.